All right, it says live. I'm sure it's going to do what it normally does and freeze for the first few seconds. So let's give it a chance to catch up. I think what it is as soon as I put into the title what these streams are going to be about, YouTube gets pissed off and says, we'll just kind of throttle him back a little bit. At least that's what I think it is. All right, this is kind of an impromptu stream tonight. I don't expect it to go very long. I just wanted to talk about this New York Senate bill that's become kind of mainstream in the news today. And this is just something else, guys. This is completely insane. And it just seems that there's literally no limit nowadays to what they're going to do to try to just totally demolish our Constitution, our country as we know it. These people are literally trying to start the fundamental degradation of our country. I don't know what else to say, but it just seems like every day there's something more and more stupid. And this is just getting so stupid now, guys. We just have to talk about it for a minute. So anyways, this is about the S9191, which was filed in the Senate by Senator Parker. And you guys may have heard about this. If not, I'll tell you about it real quick here. I'm going to pull up an article from this week. So this is an article that just came out in Newsweek. It says, a proposed bill in the social media accounts going back up to 3 years. Oh, really? Anyways, the bill referred to as S91 by State Senator Kevin Parker from New York's 21st District of keeping firearms out of the hands of potentially violent people. ABC affiliate carry or possess a pistol or post and/or searches over a period of 1 to 3 years prior to the approval of such application or renewal, the draft bill states. Intentions to carry out an act of terrorism are commonly known profane slurs, language describing the race, color, national origin, ancestry, gender, religion, age, disability, or sexual orientation of a person. Okay, I'm almost so stupid I can barely read anymore, but I'm going to try to keep reading. In order for investigators and then we have another quote. Quote, there should be more restrictions on how guns are purchased. Quote, Paul McClellan, director of Workers Against Gun Violence, told ABC affiliates WFO we should have more background checks. So yeah, if that wasn't enough, here's the thing that's fun about New York here. We're not talking about a state, you know, like Wyoming or let's say Kentucky, you know, just different states that are pretty open to guns, right? We're not talking about those states. This is New York. And they're saying that we even need more background checks and more restrictions. So let's see who's in here, guys. Warsaw's in here. How's it going? Francis is here. What's up? And Mateo. Hey. As far as it buffering, I'm not sure. I don't see it on my end. I don't know. It just seems to like to buffer for me. Not really sure why. Hopefully it's not buffered by the time it renders at the end. So I just read a little bit from the Newsweek. Now this here is a printout of the actual proposed Senate bill, right? And hopefully it'll stop buffering now. I think what I need to do from now on with these streams is just start off and just sit here for a minute before I even start, because it seems like it takes a few minutes to like settle in. Okay, so basically this starts off by saying introduced by Senator Parker, read twice and ordered printed, and when printed to be committed to the Committee on Rules. So what this is this is basically the Public Act, otherwise law in the state of New York, that explains all of the different criteria / background checks and requirements that the state of New York requires to purchase a pistol or revolver. And they specify both. And I don't know, if we get bored in a minute, I can go back and read the beginning parts, but it basically just has all these different things where you have to buy it from a gun shop. You have to be fingerprinted, background check, all these types of things. Well, I'm going to read the parts that they're going to add to this new proposed law. Like I said, S9191, as introduced in the Senate, November 14th, 2018. And like I said in the beginning, read twice and ordered printed. So this has actually gone to committee. They've gone through and got it to where, you know, the committee's going to vote on this. Warsaw, let's see here. Warsaw says this sounds serious. Yep. And no, it has not already passed yet, but this has gotten through the first steps where it's actually been introduced and been given committee assignment. So they're going through here. You know, some of this is the current law, and it basically says, you know, an applicant shall state the full name, date of birth, residence, present occupation of each person or individual signing the same, whether or not he or she is a citizen of the United States, whether or not he or she complies with each requirement for eligibility specified in subdivision of this section. That's just part of what was already there. Here's what they're adding to it, comma, consent to have his or her social media accounts and search engine history reviewed and investigated pursuant to subdivision 4 of this subsection. So right off the bat, it's basically saying, that's literally what it says, consent to have his or her social media accounts and search engine history reviewed and investigated pursuant to subdivision 4 of this section. Now, of course, it's not going to be that simple, right? So let me get to what this subsection 4 actually is. Now, I'm just going to show you real quick here. I'm going to skip through all of this other legalese. Like this is, let me get in frame here. Sorry, guys. This is all the legalese of this stupid bill, right? Let me see here. Third page. I mean, this is like single space, small font, right? Most of this is already what's required to get a license to purchase a pistol or revolver in New York. So in addition to everything that's already here, here's what they're going to add to it under this subdivision 4. Okay, it says, in order to ascertain whether any social media account or search engine history of an applicant presents any good cause for the denial of a license, the investigating officer shall, so this isn't optional, they shall, after obtaining the applicant's consent pursuant to subdivision 3 of this section, and obtaining any login name, password, or other means for accessing a personal account, service, or electronic communications device necessary to review such applicant's social media accounts and search engine history. Review an applicant's social media accounts for the previous 3 years and search engine history for the previous year, and investigate an applicant's posts or searches related to 1. Commonly known profane slurs or biased language used to describe the race, color, national origin, ancestry, gender, religion, religious practice, age, disability, or sexual orientation of a person. 2. Threatening the health or safety of another person. 3. An act of terrorism. Or 4. Any other issue deemed necessary by the investigating officer. So here's the thing, if that list I just articulated wasn't conclusive enough, they have to put the old catch-all on the end, right? Let's see here. Yeah, the catch-all. This is so hard to read, guys. There's just so much here. And it says, or any other issue deemed necessary by the investigating officer. That literally takes it to where now it's completely in the discretion for any reason whatsoever. But I'm not quite done yet. For the purposes of this subdivision, quote, social media accounts shall only include Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, and Instagram, and the term search engine shall only include Google, Yahoo, and Bing. And then it says, upon completion of the investigation, the police authority shall report the results to the licensing officer without unnecessary delay. Seriously? This is seriously something right here that a lawmaker's actually been able to get to committee in the state senate of New York, guys. I mean, let's just look at some of this again. It says, okay, so let's just get to the meat and bones of this. They basically want it to where no matter what you say in social media or what you search, so even if you're only trying to educate yourself and you're not actually saying anything to anybody, if you're just searching for something because you're curious, right? They want it to where they're going to use that criteria to be able to determine whether you're, quote, allowed to be licensed to purchase a firearm. Pistol or revolver, I should say. I don't think this applies to long guns. Anyways, now how are they going to do that? Well, they tell you how they're going to do it. They say that the applicant must consent for them to obtain the login name, password, or any other means for accessing a personal account, or a service, or an electronics communications device. So you're going to have to give them the password to your phone, your laptop. If you subscribe to a cloud service, you're going to have to give them that. Your Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, they need all those passwords. Yeah, they just literally need your passwords. Just give us the keys to your front door. We need to come inside and look around. That's what they're basically saying. So they're looking for something, right? And what are they looking for? Well, it looks like they're looking for commonly known profane slurs or biased language. Okay. What's a commonly known? Like, what's that mean? Anyways, commonly known profane slurs or biased language used to describe the race. Here's the thing. It doesn't even say profane slurs. It says that and biased language. So, okay, so if we're talking a race, if I say, I like being a white person, which I do. I'm proud of myself. I can't help the way I was born, but I'm proud to be who I am, right? And if I was black, I'm sure I'd be just as proud as I am right now. But that's biased. If I say I'm proud of something, or if I say, I'd rather be just the way I am. I'd rather, I'm just happy with myself. That's biased, I think. That's the definition of bias, saying I'd rather be me than somebody else. Is that enough? The race, the color, national origin. There we go. So if I say America first, if I say I want to make America great again and I want to put America first, I don't care if the other countries are profiting off of our trade deals or not. I could care less about that. I want America, okay, to profit from our trade deals. And I have a lot of bias towards America doing well in international trade. I think by definition, by me just saying what I just said, I don't think I'll be able to buy a pistol in New York if this law goes through. Really? Let me be more specific just to make sure. If I said, I don't think those stupid Chinese, because how they've ripped us off in trade, I don't think their opinion even matters, and I could care less for the Chinese. I want Americans to do good. There you go. I think that would be enough right there where no matter what, I couldn't buy a gun. Ancestry. So let's just say I was one of these lib-turd apologists that I said, oh, woe is me. I'm so pissed off that I'm white because we enslaved people and I wish I could take my color back and I hate myself because I'm white. Oh, there you go. Not allowed to buy a gun for that either. Gender. Gender's the tough one because this is the same New York that, from what I remember correctly, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, they made a law that if you mispronounce somebody, that in and of itself is considered hate speech and a crime. You can get punished by, fines and or jail for that. So if I see someone walk up, let's just say long hair and wearing a mini skirt and a purse and big old boobies, right? Lipstick. And I say, oh, pardon me, ma'am, when I walk by her, I think that alone is enough. Let's just say I did that on Facebook. So somebody has a Facebook post that says, hi, my name's Susie Q, and puts those little heart emojis in her post. And I say, oh, nice to meet you, ma'am. And then she responds back and says, excuse me, you mispronounced me. It's Susie Q, sir, to you. Oh, there you go. I just mispronounced. So therefore now I have gender bias. And that's listed right here. Gender. Okay. Gender. There you go. How am I supposed to know? She said her name was Susie Q. She looked like a girl. She was using heart emojis, right? I should never be allowed to own a gun if I did that, right? Religion. religion. So let's just say, you know, Al Qaeda, they bomb somebody, they bomb a mosque and whatever they do, and you say, oh my gosh, this is terrible. This religion of hate. People are looking at this religion and they're acting out in hate over the religion. I think I just show religious bias. Or let's just say something even more innocent. Let's say I'm talking Mateo, right? And Mateo says, well, I'm a Catholic, you know, what about you? And I say, no, I'm a Baptist. And to be honest with you, man, I don't care for the Catholic religion at all. This isn't actually true. I'm just saying, right? I think the Catholics are sinners and all of them have fallen short of the glory of God. And I typed that to him in you know, Facebook or Instagram. I think I just showed religious bias. I prefer the Baptist religion over the Catholic religion. Boom. Banned. I don't know, what do you guys think? Am I going too far with this, or is that literally what this says? Oh, religious practice. So it looks like I hit a double whammy with that last example. Here's a key one, age. I've seen more than one time, us, and I've done it myself, ripping on the millennials, right? Being like these millennial hipsters and blah, blah, blah. I think if I'm talking about millennials, right there, age. I literally violate everything on here, and I'm not even a hateful person, guys. That's the thing. I really like to give all people the benefit of the doubt if I can. Now, most of them don't deserve it, but I'll try to, you know. And I literally think I violated every single one. Oh, and then we're back to, if, by the way, gender wasn't enough, they have to specify, or sexual orientation. So, I mean, I've seen these Louder with Crowders where he's like, you know, there's only two genders, prove me wrong. And then all these arguers, these lib turds get in here. They start talking about how sexual orientation is different than gender and blah, blah, blah. And they go in this huge circle where you don't even know what's anymore. I mean, you're afraid that if you picked up a 2x4, you'd misgender it by the time you're done listening to these people. And you know what? You want to say, okay, well, their opinion doesn't matter. Well, actually, their opinion does matter, because what if one of these lib turds is a cop? I guess we'll go back to the very last part where it says any other issue deemed necessary by the investigating officer. So it's up to them to decide, is what they're saying here. Disability. I saw somebody say midget in here. I think literally, according to this, midget would easily be in the discretion of a lot of people, be considered to have bias against somebody's disability. I don't think so. I think it's just a common term that's actually used to show affection towards the little people or whatever. I've met a few of them before, and they call themselves a midget. It's not a slur, but whatever. Let's see here. And it's funny, too, how they're saying social media accounts shall only include Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, and Instagram. So that's why I'm fine to say this right now, because I'm on YouTube, and YouTube doesn't fall under there. So I'm not going to have to worry about getting my New York handgun license. I mean, isn't that kind of random? Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, and Instagram. That's the ones they pick. And search engines shall only include Google, Yahoo, and Bing. So all I have to say is good thing it doesn't include DuckDuckGo, because that's the one I use, and that's the one I recommend you guys using too. I literally can't even believe this, John, guys. Like, this is seriously a proposed law right now in New York, and you've got in that, I don't know if it was buffering too much, but in the beginning, I was reading a newspaper article from quote Newsweek, if you want a fake Newsweek, and they were talking about, you know, how they instantly had quotes right away from the official of such and such organization saying that that he supports it and that they need more. Now look at this, isn't New York's gun control laws, guys. This here is just the legal requirements to apply for a permit to purchase a pistol or revolver. This has nothing to do with any gun law. This is literally only very specifically tailored to what's required to even apply for a permit. Now there's like 100 pages that actually tells you like what's required to actually get it. This is literally just like the preamble of the permit making process. And you know what though? Really, a lot of times they just play games with these wordings because it has all these words in here. And they're all very specific and pursuant to this and before that and shall henceforth thereafter and, you know, all their legalese. Really, they don't even need any of this in here. Because when it literally says this, or any other issue deemed necessary by the investigating officer, that's really the only thing they even need to put in there. They literally should have just cut to the chase and put a law out that says, look, guys, in New York, an officer is going to look at you and you're going to give him all your passwords to your social media, to your search engines, your computers, your effects, your papers. And I'm using those words for a reason, that you should be securing your effects, right? Anyways, if anyone can tell me where I got that from, I don't even remember anymore. But anyways, so he needs all your passwords. He needs your devices, your effects, your papers. He needs everything about your personal life, the stuff most intimate to you. And then after you give him your password and the device itself, then he gets just to decide at his sole discretion whether you should have a gun permit or not. That's really all this is saying is, give us your password and we'll decide whether you're allowed to have a gun. Really. But of course, you know, they're going to try to make it all official, and pretty much anything you say that pisses them off. If you're not towing the party line, if you didn't vote who they wanted you to vote for. I mean, I'm sure they're still going to be fine with a few people owning guns, because then if it goes to court, they can say, hey, look, we have we have Mr. Smith here that all he's done is he's a good man, you know, he's been a good man for 40 years. He's voted Democrat his whole life. He donated a couple $100,000 to the Clinton Foundation and this and that, and voted Democrat. And you know, we let him have his double barrel shotgun, and he's an avid hunter. Years of traditions of hunting in his family. So look, I mean, we respect the traditions, and we respect the traditions of hunting in New York. They always say the same crap. It's always about, we respect the hunting traditions, and then they always have some huge stat like, you know, there were over 5 million guns bought in New York this year, and we're proud to say that, well, yeah, but they were like junkie Remingtons, Freedom Group Remingtons, and even though they're not a bad gun, Ruger 1022s, right? I don't know, guys. I'm gonna look at the comments in 1 second, but can anyone even believe that they have the audacity to say that you'll be required to give your password to exercise, not ask for, but to exercise one of your constitutional rights? Which, by the way, our Constitution has a supremacy clause where supposedly the national law is supposed to reign supreme. And then let me get off on a quick tangent with that. So for some reason, you know, case law has established it that, you know, the United States law reigns supreme over the states, except for if the states want to be more restrictive. So if New York wants to have a SAFE Act and say 7-round magazine, they've decided, well, the supremacy clause doesn't count then. But what about when Kansas a few years ago made a state law, passed both chambers, okay? Both chambers, their Senate, and we'll call it their House or Assembly or whatever it is, signed by their governor, and they said a suppressor is not illegal to manufacture in the state of Kansas, as long as it doesn't leave Kansas, you know, borders, and it doesn't affect interstate commerce, right? Because they didn't want to, you know, have the whole quote interstate commerce clause, which is what they use to get at states on everything nowadays. But anyways, they said suppressors are totally legal in Kansas, period. Well, there was a guy that made sure, and I think you guys can remember this. I might get the details a little off, but the principle is the same thing. There was a guy in Kansas that said, okay, great, it's legal for me. I live in Kansas. He sourced, you know, his steel from Kansas. He was real sure all of his parts came from Kansas. His labor was from Kansas. And he decided to make some of these quote silencers, right? And ATF come in and busted him and confiscated and had him on all these felony charges. And Kansas said, but wait, hold on a minute, ATF. This is out of your jurisdiction because we said that they're legal here. And he's doing it all within the states. Nope, nope, nope. Then they cited the supremacy clause and said suppressors are regulated under the National Firearms Act, and the United States law of the land reigns supreme. So they can say that when a guy wants to make suppressors in Kansas that are perfectly legal in his state to make. And Kansas, by the way, removed them from the NFA, is what they said. But as soon as some state wants to introduce a 7-round mag, they're like, oh, that's totally fine. So you can only violate the supremacy clause if you trample on the Second Amendment more. But if you try to trample on the Second Amendment less, then the ATF reigns supreme and comes and confiscates you and your items and your effects. Try to think about that, guys. Literally, try to put logic to that. So this doesn't matter. What I'm trying to say with all this, the reason why I was giving you that whole analogy with the silencers in Kansas was this. You can say, oh, well, look, you know, we have a First Amendment. That says you can say whatever the hell you want, right? And I think it was Brandenburg Supreme Court case. That's the settled law on the settled case law that says literally free speech is that you can say whatever the hell you want unless it's a threat of imminent violence. Okay? And contrary to popular belief, guys, and you can look this up, you are allowed to yell fire in a crowded theater. You cannot at all get in trouble for yelling fire in a theater. However, the catch to that is if anybody were to then hurt themselves as the stampede was evacuating because of your false fire alarm, you could then be liable of them getting hurt in the stampede. But just the fact that you yell fire in a theater, that's a huge misnomer. And I'm sick and tired of that going around the internet that, well, you don't really have free speech. You're not allowed to yell fire in a theater. That's bullshit. You're 100% allowed to yell fire in a theater. And look up the Brandenburg case. I'm 99% sure that's what it is. That literally said, you have the freedom of any speech with the only exception that it can't incite or create imminent violence. Now, with that said, there's another big argument the left likes to make. And I heard them using the same argument on Tucker Carlson tonight over this stupid-ass bill. The state senator, Parker himself, was saying, well, Tucker, we don't allow child pornography, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, that's misconstruing it because here's the thing. While the Supreme Court has stated all speech is protected, like I said, unless it's speech that's perpetrating imminent harm to people, that it's all accepted, right? But what this senator won't acknowledge is yes, child porn's illegal, as it should be. But they've also decided that child porn doesn't even fall under speech. Child porn is not speech. So since it's been ruled under one court precedence that child porn is not speech, you can't then say, well, we do limit speech. No, it's actually been deemed to not be speech whatsoever. So I just want to warn you guys, because those are, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe you guys have some more to add, but those are the two most common things that I hear the left always say. They say, well, we limit child porn, and you can't yell fire in a crowded theater. They're both bullshit. The one doesn't apply as speech at all, as set as case precedents, and the other one's actually not indeed illegal at all, in and of itself. There could be consequential damages that you could be held liable for, but just the act itself of yelling fire in a theater is not illegal. Look it up, period. So this here is going to come down to this stupid. So here's the thing: the federal government, if this passes in New York, which I hope it doesn't, right? But if it does pass, don't count on the federal government being able to come in there and say, "Hey, look, we have a First Amendment, guys. We have a First Amendment in the Bill of Rights that says you have the right to free speech." They're not going to do it. The reason why they won't do it is because we also have a Second Amendment in the same Bill of Rights. And the federal government, when's the last time the federal government called up New York and said, you know, we're going to send the army in to arrest, which I know the army's not even allowed to be used for this. I'm just making it a point. You know, they say that Trump, you know, is all militant with his army, whatever. When's the last time you saw Trump send the army into New York to arrest the mayor and the governor for their SAFE Act? It's not going to happen. Our federal government will let states restrict every single right we have in the Bill of Rights to the extreme, but they will never, ever, ever, ever let a state be more lenient than, unless it's marijuana. Now, marijuana is a Schedule I drug, keep in mind. And states like crazy are passing recreational marijuana laws left and right. I'm not even going to talk about medical marijuana. Let's just say recreational. They're passing it left and right. Okay, if they can do that, and I'm not even trying to say whether there's anything wrong with that or not. What I'm trying to say is if you can pass a medical marijuana law or a recreational marijuana law and say, look, the federal government prohibits marijuana. However, we're going to allow people to break that federal law in our state. And the feds let them totally get by with it. But as soon as Kansas says, although suppressors are supposed to be registered pursuant to the tax stamp and the NFA of 1934, we're not going to abide by that anymore. So in the state of Kansas, you can make your own silencer. How is that any different? How possibly is it any different to literally distribute certain amounts and use a Schedule 1 drug, federally illegal, but that's perfectly fine, but it's not okay to have a silencer within your state that's unregistered. It's just totally hypocritical. So before anyone that's watching this later on thinks, oh, well, the federal government would put a stop to it, I doubt that. I highly doubt it. So it's just hypocrisy 100% up and down. And all this is about is this. They're all your enemy. It's just like, which one's your bigger enemy, right? Do you remember in World War II? We're like, oh, shoot, Russia, Russia, Russia. Our country didn't like Russia at all during World War II. But then we looked at Hitler and we said, well, maybe we think he's a little bit worse. So we'll basically side with Russia, who's our enemy, to defeat this other enemy that's worse, right? So we quote unquote got rid of the worst of the two evils. The Axis powers fell. Okay, great. But then immediately, the day after, Russia helps us defeat, or we help Russia rather defeat the Axis powers, all of a sudden Russia's like, okay, stop. We're not friends anymore. We think we should get half of this, half of that. We want more than our half, blah, blah, blah. And then we had a Cold War, which led to Russia having nukes on Cuba aimed towards us. And kids, for about 50 years or 40 years, we'll say, 40, 50 years, had to practice drills where they went under their desks like this for nuclear bomb drills. Little kids had to do that in every public school in this country for 4 decades. Just because, an enemy of both of ours makes us a, quote, friend, that's a bunch of bullshit. And you know what's happening? That's exactly what's happening right now. We have this Republican that's like, if you elect me, then I'll stop the Democrats from taking your guns. That's literally what they say. They say, I'll stop the Democrats from taking your guns. Okay? Most of the national Democrats are promising, we will take your guns. Okay? So you vote for the Republican thinking he's going to stop the Democrats from taking my guns, and he promises to. Yeah, he might stop Democrats, okay, from their gun control bill, but then you know what the sucker does? Then he turns around and he introduces his own gun control bill. That's a, quote, better compromise, and it's not near as bad as the one that the Democrats did. That's literally where all this stuff ends up. It ends up where the Democrats, and I'm talking national level. Listen, on the local level, I know some Democrats that love guns that work in like my county and my local township. When you get local, I think you can even go up to the state level. That's about in some states, not all states, asterisk. In some states, you can go up to the state level and still have some gun-loving Democrats. Once you get beyond the state level, it's virtually impossible right now for a Democrat to even be like moderately pro-gun. There's no more so-called blue dog Democrat left in the national Congress, whether at the House or the Senate. They're just not there anymore. So, and here's the thing: there's Republicans in New York too that'll vote for this bullshit. I'm not even gonna say it's gonna pass, but trust me, they're gonna vote for it. I don't know. Hopefully enough don't, because I don't want to see this go through for any state. Because as soon as it does, it always becomes what they call like it's not precedence in the legal sense, right? Like it doesn't bind people. Like how if you have a federal court, that'll bind it for their district. No, I'm not talking that, but I'm using precedence in a different way. It sets precedence and past practice, where then New York gets by with this bull crap. It's really easy for us to say, oh yeah, oh, I dropped this law. I guess that was an innuendo. It deserves to be on the freaking floor. You know what? I'm really, really ticked off right now that my dirty shop floor had to have this filth on it. That's disgracing my shop floor to even have this come in contact with it. So I'm sorry, concrete floor, for even having to look at this crap. Anyways, what I was saying is then you'll have New York passes this. Okay. And then, well, California, not to be outdone. They'll basically copy the same law, but then they'll add in another sentence. They'll say, oh, well, we're going to do better than New York. We're for more safety. So we're going to say, instead of the search engines only including Google, Yahoo, and Bing, now we're going to include DuckDuckGo and Dogpile too. So they'll add that on. And then, not to be outdone, Maryland's going to say, well, we're going to clean up our inner cities more. So we're going to add like YouTube on too, and we'll do that. And you guys see where this is going, right? I mean, this is literally like, and you just know what they're doing right now. Here's the thing. Yes, they do want it to pass. I have no doubt Senator Parker wants this to pass, right? But to argue in the contrary, even if he knows it's not going to pass, and I hope it doesn't, right? But even if he knows it isn't going to pass, he's still going to get his goal, because what he's doing is he's trolling everybody right now. And he's just trolling along with that dip net in the water, seeing what he can catch. And if just a few people, with 78 freaking subscribers get on here and rant about it like I am, it might make a teeny difference, but not much. But he's going to get on there and find out, is there going to be like a couple people that calls me out on this? Or is there going to be like a dozen people or 100 people or like tens of millions of people going to call me out? And based on what happens to reaction to something this ludicrous, I mean, this is literally like copy and pasted, okay, from George Orwell, okay? Like literally copied and pasted. 1984, you could just literally go, okay, anyways. What they're doing is they're winning just by even putting this out there, because then they'll get all their statistics and they'll say, well, look, maybe like just a few hundred too many people complained about this S9191. So then they'll compile all their stats and they'll say, well, now let's come in with something, quote, a little more reasonable for the reasonable people. I mean, this is barter in 101. Everyone's going to know what I'm talking about with this other analogy. So if I want to sell you this screwdriver on Craigslist, right? And I want $2 for it. I'm not going to list it for $2, got me? Because if I list it for $2, everybody's going to offer me $1. So really, I list it for $4. And then maybe I'll get lucky and someone will give me $3 for it. I might get the full $4, but really, I'm going to let someone talk me down in half to $2, and it's theirs. That's what these kind of laws are, guys. So I don't want anyone just to totally laugh this off and dismiss it and be like, yeah, right. That's just so over the top. It's so Orwellian. It's so crazy. It could never pass. Well, I hope not. But just this law passing really isn't the whole purpose of this. They're starting high, okay? They're asking for all this. And then when the people refuse to give them this, Brad's just I'll give you $5 for it. There you go. Like I said, that's going to be California. They're going to up it to $5 and add even more. But anyways, if they get too much resistance to this, you know what happens? And it always does. These guys' games are so predictable. Basically, you're going to have, like, in the next session of their assembly or their senate, some other guy will be like, oh, look, I'm the reasonable one. Now my family has a long-standing tradition. My great-great-grandpappy was shooting rabbits down there in 1895, and we've owned a double-barrel shotgun ever since. And he might even show it to you. This is Pappy's double barrel from 1895, and I still hunt with it. And I'm like, you hunt with that Damascus barrel? Are you serious, dude? Like, even though he's a lib turd, and he might deserve to, I'm like frantically wanting to call Fox and be like, hey, you better tell that guy with those Damascus barrels and all that rust I'm seeing forming on there, there's no way he should still be hunting with that. But anyways, you guys know the type, right? I'm still hunting with Grandpappy's Damascus barrel over and under, side by side. Yeah. So he'll come in. He's the reasonable guy, right? Gun in hand. And he's going to say, oh, look, I'm not necessarily going to, and I hate how they do this. Every single time these people try to sound legit, you guys know what I'm talking about. They always fake some kind of like half Southern accent. If you notice this, they really will. Like when they're trying to piss you off, they use their New Yorker accent. But when they're trying to get on your good side, they're like, oh, come on now, folks. Now this is all good. And then you guys know what I mean, right? He'll come in and he'll say, now look, guys, I'm the reasonable one. I'm going to keep all this wording the same, just the minor details. But what I'm going to do is I'm not going to go back 3 years on your search engine. That's a little too far. We're reasonable here. we're only going to go back like maybe 2 years on your search engine. I mean, that's not a big deal, right? And I don't really feel the need to look at your Facebook and your Snapchat and Instagram and Twitter. So since no one uses Snapchat anymore, I'm just going to go for your Instagram and your Twitter and your Facebook. So this is reasonable. Come on, guys. We wanted more. You told us no. So let's meet in the middle and compromise. That's what this kind of crap is. It's just testing the waters to see what they can get by with so they know how steep their next compromise can be. Whew. I just talked for like literally 41 minutes and didn't even stop. So if you guys thought I was bringing up good points, I guess that's a good thing. If I wasn't, then sorry to bore the crap out of you. Well, let's see what we're going on here. Tonight isn't like really a regular stream per se where I'm hanging out. This is more like me kind of doing a rant and giving you guys a chance to do your own ranting and commentation, or commenting rather. But I'm going to kind of go through here and see, you know, real quick what you guys were saying. And by the way, you know what helps me, guys? I know you can't do this if you're on your mobile device, really, but if you're on a computer, and it's something that you definitely want me specifically to see or respond to, if you use the @ symbol and then my username behind it, it should start filling it in. If you just go @ and start typing like G, should be enough. And then there'll be the autofill you can click on. Then it's going to highlight it in orange. And I know most of you know this already. Ooh, that wasn't good. I just knocked something off my table. Hollow point. I think those are banned too in New York. Anyways, if you do @GlockShooter79, it highlights it in orange and it makes it where I can just pick it up instantly, because a lot of times it's you guys talking amongst yourselves. So, oh, this is cool. You guys are talking a lot in here. Let me just real quickly. Sounds like I was buffering bad in the beginning. I hope it stopped at a certain point. That's going to suck if I did all this rant and then nobody could hear any of it. Okay, yeah. Okay, so we start off with WGP said, "Oh no, this sounds now. Oh, now this sounds serious." Yep. Oh, Bastard says, "Banished New York politicians do a leaky raft in the middle of the ocean surrounded by sharks." I'm not a fake, they said. Let's see here. Yeah, Mateo says, "I can see this coming to a legislature near you," sort of thing. That's what I was getting at. That's part of what I was getting at. That's interesting. WP put in that middle finger emoji, right? And it's still in here. In somebody else's stream last night, somebody used that, and it actually got banished. So that's interesting. With these moderators in here. Okay. Yeah, that's what Bastard said. This was bound to happen. It's the future, control over every aspect of people's lives. That's the thing. If this doesn't happen tomorrow, and I'll be honest with you guys, it probably won't. However, this is going to let them decide how quick they can introduce it again, or to what extent they can compromise to get some half-baked version of this through. And this is no different than that 3D printed gun act, guys. You can insert all this stuff that's going on under the same rant that I had today. The supposed 3D gun act doesn't even mention 3D printed guns at all, by the way. It's the same thing. You know, it's going to be set to expire here this session of Congress and soon. But they're going to take their stats and they're going to see how many people called us to complain. How many people called their elected representative or senator and said, "Not one more inch. I don't care what party you are. You're not even to move one more inch, or me and all my people are going to make sure you get voted out of office." Trust me, they're keeping track of that. And if not too many people are holding them accountable, this is going to come back a lot quicker than you might think. And it might be watered down. It might be the same. Or God forbid, it might even be worse than this. Because it can get worse. It can get a lot worse than this. This is just the beginning of what these people would like to do. They haven't even started to take our rights yet compared to where they want this to end up. Let's see here. Yeah, Mateo brought up a good point, kind of a rhetorical point. Sorry, but regardless of whether you uttered a slur, is not grounds for removal of rights. Everything else is an actual crime. Warsaw says at this point they don't even know what the F they're even talking about. They don't even know about guns. Yeah, they don't know anything about guns, but they do know what they're talking about as far as, trust me, they all read 1984. They know. They already read Animal Farm. They know. They already read Brave New World. Okay? They already read Fahrenheit. These people have read, trust me, they don't know anything about guns, but they know what they're doing. Let's see here. Off to re-educate, Bastard says, off to re-education camp for you, Glock. Ain't that the truth? That's probably what they will call them, too, because concentration camp isn't politically correct. So it'll be a re-education camp going forward. Francis says, if they ban porn, the number of rapes and sexual assault cases in the United States will skyrocket. I'm not sure about that, but I haven't thought about it really that way, but I think you might be right. There might be something to that. Yeah, Mateo, so if you have an Instagram account and have nothing but gun content, does that mean you get classified as a gun nut or a fanatic, grounds for denial? See, that's not expressly stated in here, but it goes back to that one sentence here. Oh, you know, there's always the good old catch-all, guys. You guys know this. A politician can't write a bill without a catch-all in it. Not any politician that's even worth running for office can't. Oh, any other issue deemed necessary by the investigating officers. So hopefully that answers your questions. Francis says, give this 5 years. I bet this will be law nationwide. Hopefully not 5, but I can see it, man. All right. Not a lot of people in here tonight, but the ones that are pretty active, so that's cool. I'd rather have a few good friends than a bunch of acquaintances, you know? That's how I look at it. The Strike Nine's in the house. How's it going, man? We're slaves to the social media masters. That's the thing. How many people are addicted to social media where even if they said, I'm going to stop using all my social media so that nobody can, you know, can deem necessary that my Second Amendment right. How many people could just drop all social media? How many would want to, and then how many actually could? Yeah, WGP says, this makes me want to get rid of all of my social media accounts. WGP, oh yeah, welcome to you too. You look like you're the first time in here. I think I saw you earlier in a comment on one of my videos, but I think it's your first time in the stream, so. I was getting confused because you and somebody else have the same logo in here, and I thought, which one is this? But it seems like everyone's friendly, so that's good. I like everyone to be friendly in my stream. Time for us to revolt and bring out the guillotine. Yeah, like Francis said, you know, knowing the way this country's headed, it'll be law in 2024. I know that's the thing, you know, George Orwell said 1984, but he wasn't that far off, guys. We've been really, really steadily declining for a while now. Patriot Act, oh my gosh. That literally set us back like 100 years, or fast forwarded this 100 years. Remingtons. You know, I hate the current Remington, guys. The old school Remington's pretty cool. But, yeah, Strike Nine brings up a good point. Tim Cook, you know, Apple said, if you're not one of us, you're not wanted on our platform. Hipster Patriots here. Welcome. ATF should be defunded and dissolved. I agree. I totally agree. Tim Cook, what a tool. Let's see here, guys. Okay, Mateo says he's with Hipster Patriot. Defund and dissolve the ATF. F them. Don't need them. I don't need them at all. Browser says, just don't listen to the law anymore. If illegals can be in public office or chanting on the street without fear, the law doesn't apply to me either. That's a good point, too. They can ban machine guns. They can ban words. Well, yeah, because if once you ban someone's machine gun and you ban their other guns, well, then how easy it is to take anything from them. It's like, you know, taking candy from a baby, as they say. I mean, come on. That's all we are, is a bunch of babies if you take our guns away. And a lot of people that own guns are big babies anyways. That's a whole nother rant for another stream. I won't get into that, but some of these so-called gun owners amongst us, don't even get me started on them. I respect this Senator Parker more than a lot of these gun owners around the internet, because at least he tells us what the heck he is. We know him by, again, we know him by his words. Mateo says he has a copy of that case. Yeah, there's Supreme Court precedent on that stuff I was talking about earlier. I wasn't just trying to make anything up, you know. Strike down. Where's the overreaching Republican bills? See, here's the thing. There's not really that many right now per se, but there was that bill that if you guys remember, in Florida when there was that shooting, there was that Republican. I can't think of his name right now, but if you look it up, a Republican in the U.S. House put forth a gun control bill when there was that that Marjorie Stoneman Douglas shooting. So there's one example for you. President Trump calling for the unconstitutional ban of bump stocks, which I just did a video on. There would be another Republican, you know, coming out. I've heard a lot of Republicans supporting it. You guys remember back after Sandy Hook, the Manchin-Toomey bill? Well, Toomey's a Republican from Pennsylvania. So the Republicans are out there, man. They're not as pro-gun as most of us. I'm not trying to say all Republicans are bad. There's a few I like. I mean, I like Rand Paul. Let's see here. I like Rand Paul and Rand Paul. And Ted Cruz. I like, on gun rights, I like Ted Cruz and Rand Paul and Ted Cruz and Rand Paul. Yeah, I like a lot of senators on gun rights. Yeah, WGP's talking about rhinos, which I think you guys know what that means, right? But if you don't, rhino stands for Republican in name only. So that's like a wolf in, you know, sheep's clothing. It is what a so-called rhino is. But no, Strike 9, I'm not trying to completely over-exaggerate that point, but I will stand firm on the fact that, you know, there's plenty of them going on our side that kind of troll around and see if they can get a little piece of the action too. That's what I'm trying to say. They're not quite as innocent as I'd like them to be. Let's see here. Yeah, like Bradford says, I want reparations for hearing damage. There you go. Here's the thing I don't get. People, and okay, I'm going to make an argument and say, okay, so medical marijuana. Let's say that's legit because you have a medical condition where that marijuana either helps, you know, relieve the pain of the medical condition, or it could possibly keep it from getting worse, right? What the heck does a silencer do? It relieves the pain in the ears from the gunshot report, and it's going to help prevent the medical condition of hearing loss. There's so many parallels between silencers and medical marijuana. It's not even funny. And on paper, marijuana and silencers are both the same like types of levels of offenses. Literally, federal statute. But nope, they don't care if states violate the marijuana law, but they definitely care if they violate the National Firearms Act. And that's where it's crap. It's this double speak out of both sides of their mouth. But here's our problem as gun owners. We haven't been able to mobilize enough. There must not be enough of us, or everyone's too afraid to get on some stupid list. But trust me, you're already on the list. If you're even worried about being on the list, by the time you get to the point of worrying about it, you're on the list. So let's get that straight. But here's where the medical marijuana people are better than us. And some of us might be both. That's the whole point. But there was enough people screaming and yelling that they wanted medical and recreational marijuana, and now they're getting it. There's not enough gun owners to say, no, we're not fine with some stupid compromise with the NRA, you know, negotiating rights away, NRA. No, we're done with that. We're just literally demanding by the millions and tens of millions that we want silencers, period. If we could fight as hard as the marijuana crowd has, probably have our silencers, guys. And again, I understand it's tough. It's not really tough. They're two separate issues, but they're the same. You can be pro-marijuana and be pro-gun at the same time. That's the point I'm trying to make. Yeah, it was offered $5 as long as it's signed for my my screwdriver. This is a nice little screwdriver though. It's handy for a lot of things. You know what's interesting though? Warsaw Patriot says, remember the Patriot Act. And then he says the FBI, CIA, and NSA have been even pulling spying shit like this. That's the thing. They already know. They already know what we're doing anyways. So you know, you guys do know this. They obviously can already go in there and read all of our social media anyways. If you have any of these quote threats, they can already put you on a list anyways. So this is literally them putting it in your eye saying you'll hand over your passwords and you'll surrender to us, period. Because they want to see how far they can take it. This is way, 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 way more about how they can test their reigns of control on us versus them actually trying to read our crap because they can already read it anyways. So yeah, that's a good point that made me think of all that. Yeah, WGP says this is as bad as the NDAA. Pastor says, I have a double barrel. Been in the family since 1904, but it's trash. Still fired it though once. Yep. But you guys do know what I mean, right? Like, I'm not even exaggerating. This guy that's like, oh, here's my great grandpappy's double barrel shotgun. Again, they always get that Southern voice when they're trying to lie to you. And Southerners don't even lie like those ones in New York do. That's what drives me nuts. When he's trying to be reasonable, he's got that Southern accent, and he's got that double barrel shotgun. And there ain't even a person that lives in New York that has a Southern accent. Those are just pisses me off even worse. Hell, last few times I've been down to the South, Southerners don't even have a Southern accent anymore. Which that's a shame, by the way. I do like Southern people in general. Let's see here. Yep, Orion Fixer. Oh, welcome, man. Says, giving up freedom for a false sense of security. Yep. And when it came to paying property taxes, you know, that's what Ben Franklin said, right? I think he said something like, he who's willing to give up an essential freedom for a perceived security deserves and receive neither. I know I said that wrong, but that's the gist of what we're talking about. Let's see here. Guys, you guys are making it hard. I know you guys are friends and you're messing with me, but there's this WP and WGP, and at first glance it looks so much alike. It's hard to. Okay, let's see here. Let's see here. Oh, Mateo says he's still buffering. I hope it's not buffering for everybody. I've been enjoying the stream, guys. The war on drugs and guns and words needs to end. Yeah, I agree. Warsaw, just, you know, this is getting complicated, dude, because you were known as Warsaw for such a long time. And now that there's a WP in front of you, apparently there's other people that had WGP and WPs before they've stated. And it just makes it where, you know, when I'm doing the stream and I glance really quickly, I'm confusing you guys. So, not trying to confuse anybody, but when people that are fans of each other happen to make the same names, it just makes it tough. So, try to bear with me, guys. Let's see here. Francis asked me if I have any of the Ukraine commercial market Mosin Nagant rifles, classic firearms brought into the country. When you say commercial market, what are you referring to? One of the, are you talking like modern production, or is this in recent times? Last Mosins I bought were like a few years back when they were still 99 bucks, and I bought a few dozen and actually got them down lower than that and got a discount on freight. So if this is something new, then no, I'm not really spending, you know, $300 on 9130s. I have spent as much as $1,000 before on a Mosin, but it was a really, really unique variant. Okay, Mateo, that's good. Well, I guess it's not good for you, but I would just hate to like talk about all this, and this might be stuff the rest of the crowd would like to listen to, you know, tomorrow at work or something, and if it's all lost, that would suck. Preston says I have a medical need for a folding stock on a Tokarev. That's the thing, man. If it was anything but guns and you say you need something, our governments always do oblige your needs, as long as it's not something that, you know, Not something that gets rid of their stranglehold. As soon as you prevent yourself from them being able to take candy from you like you're a baby, trust me, they don't care about your needs then. Modified by the Ukrainians. I'll have to look that up. I might and just not know exactly what you're talking about, to be honest with you. I have some of the last ones that were imported by WPA, you know, like Wolf, and they're called like KO dash something hunting rifle. I'll get back to you on that one. Oh, modified by the Ukrainians for their commercial market. I think I know what you're talking about. So they're kind of like bastardized Mosins. Am I right on that? And if that's the case, and I'll research what you're talking about, but if that is the case, it's probably not very interesting to me, to be honest. I kind of like my milsurps to be as close to how they left the battlefield as possible in general. But if I'm missing something, you know, let me know. Okay, yeah, they put a pen on the rear sight to prevent them from going past 300 meters. Nope, I actually don't have any of those. I have some of the rare 91/38s that are a carbine that was cut down from an M1891, not a 9130, but an M1891 cut down. And then they just took a grinder and they ground off all the marks. Not all the marks, but they ground them all off from like, you know, 2100 down to 800 meters like a carbine would be, instead of putting on the small carbine sight. But the as far as the 9130 is kind of a rare bird. That's said to be a supposed Czech Mosin, but there's not technical proof of that, but that's what it's kind of considered to be. I really like the 9138. Okay, WGP. The WGP are my initials. Gay Pro 2A. Oh, I get it now. Okay. Well, I guess welcome, you know, that's fine. I'll welcome a gay person, but that's not my thing. But yeah, I could care less, man. Trust me. But if I said I'm biased more towards heterosexuals, I think this would ban me from buying a gun. But you can be, though. What do you guys think? Can you be biased towards something, meaning you lean a certain way without hating the other way? I think you can. Warsaw, I'm getting sick of this crap. You're getting sick of 9191, I assume? I'm getting sick of it too, dude. Trust me. Let's see here. I'm just going to real quick breeze through here, and I'm going to get off in a minute. I thought I was just going to do like a 30-minute stream tonight, because after I read this bull crap, I just kind of wanted to come on here and go on a quick rant. And now it's been about an hour and 5 minutes. So if there's anything else, guys, I'm going to do more of a I'll do another stream this week yet still before it's over. That'll be like I usually do, where it's more about guns as a whole, but we can talk about some politics too, of course. I like to do that. But as far as this is more just a political rant, and I don't know, thought maybe you guys would be bored. Let me just catch up real quick here, and I'm gonna sign off. Yeah, Francis. Okay, I think I know what you're talking about. I don't think those are actual original snipers, though. I think they're ones that the ones classic selling that the scopes were installed after the fact, right? Let's see. WP. Gosh, there's WP, WBP. Someone should name their name WBP, so we can talk about the Polish. Let's see here. Warsaw Patriot. Here's the thing, man. Keep your head up. It's basically, what do they say? Imitation is the utmost form of flattery, right? So they're obviously a fan if they like your image that much, you know. Oh, wait a minute. WGP's not a fan and doesn't even know you. Okay, I guess hopefully you guys can become friends. Well, that is the old saying, though. Let me know, guys, if you've heard that before. They do. They say imitation's like the highest form of flattery, right? So I didn't create the saying, is all I'm trying to say. I've always heard that. Yeah, we'll accept the gay community in here. Why not? I'm really about this. I only divide it two ways when I'm in these streams. You're either pro-gun or you're anti-gun. And if you're anti-gun, you're still welcome to be in here. You can say all you want if you're anti-gun. I'll listen to you. That's fine. But if you're gay and you're pro-gun, sounds like you're on my side when it comes to defeating all this. So there's other things we might disagree on, but if we're agreeing on the Second Amendment, we're cool. Yeah, the scopes are reproductions. Yep. I don't know how much those cost. I'll have to check that out. I have a Mosin sniper that I bought back in the day, a while back, like I'm gonna say about 10 years ago. So I didn't even really look at these. Since I've already got one, I haven't really looked lately, but that's cool, man. I hope it's legit because you guys have seen the streams I've done with Zeke. Sometimes I haven't been quite treated right from that site. So hopefully it was legit for you. Oh man, they were $850 and sold out in 2 hours. Wow. Okay. With reproduction scopes. I guess that's a good deal nowadays then apparently. I guess you did fine. I won't even tell you how much I paid for my quote unquote real one with a real matching period correct scope and the scope numbers, on the side of the receiver, and you know what I'm saying, like an authentic actual PU sniper. But times have changed though. I'm not rubbing it in. I'm just literally saying. Well, what I mean by legit is what you know what I'm saying. They said it was legit, and if not, you'll be pissed. Well, I would check because I wouldn't completely take their word for it. But by the way, you know what I mean. Even if it's legit for what it is, it's still different than one that had the original World War II dated scope. I think you know what I mean. And I'm not bragging either. I'm just telling you, times have changed so much with milsurps. But here's the interesting thing. I could tell you what I paid for mine compared to what you paid for yours. But it's not like it sounds, because what you just paid for yours, you can tell the same story 5 years from now and be like, can you believe it? Those original ones that like barely anybody has, those are worth like 10 grand now. And mine that I paid $850 for is now worth like 4 or 5 grand. And you know what I'm saying, right? This stuff just seems to be going up and up and up. And it seems lately that there's no limit on what milsurps are going to be worth in the future. So I'd say even though my first instinct was to be like, there's no way in heck that's worth $850, when you factor in everything I just said, it's probably actually a strong purchase, I need to look it up, don't I, Francis? I have no idea right now what a quote original one's worth that wasn't modified in the Ukraine and that has the original World War II matching scope and everything with it. I don't even want to know. But let's just say 10 or so years ago, those were available for not much more, or about the same as what the regular 9130 is being offered for today. WGP, what's a good price for a 9130? That's the whole dilemma, man. Apparently 300 nowadays is a great price, which is just tough. But at the same time, it might be the cheapest you're going to get one for again. I don't see them going back down. What factory should you be interested in? I don't know. I like the Azovsk and the Tula almost equally. Everyone always says Tula, Tula, Tula. You know why I think they like the Tula so much? It's because they can't pronounce Azovsk. It's an old joke of mine, but yeah. Let's see. The gun show saw of a sniper. Mosin was telling me an Izzy was a Tula and that it was matching original and it was clearly a repro for 400. I guess the repros, Francis is saying, for 850 sold out like instantly. So, and trust me, they're repros if they're made in a modern factory. That's what I'm getting at, guys. The sum of the parts. Okay, the whole is worth more than the sum of the parts. So you could buy like an original sniper rifle, but it's usually going to be an X sniper where they actually filled in with that little block of wood, right? Where they had cut out of the stock. You could buy that for a certain amount of money, and then you could buy the original scope for another amount of money and combine the price together. And it's still not even going to be worth half or even a third of an original match set that came from World War II. That's the point I'm getting at. The whole is worth way more than the sum of the parts. Let's see here. Right, you know what I'm saying though, right, Francis? The scope's a repro and the rest is original, but it's still not considered an original sniper rifle unless it has its original serialized scope that was serialized to it during the war. That's what it has to be a quote unquote original. And please believe me, I'm not putting your rifle down when I say that. I just don't want you to get caught up in the wrong nomenclature and whatever. You know what I'm saying, right? So now the Mosin, your gun itself is real, yes. And your scope's a real scope, but it's a repro. But with a sniper rifle, the way those are kind of, rated is based on, you have to have its original scope with it. You know what I'm getting at, guys? Maybe someone else can word it better than me, but the scope is what makes the sniper rifle like its whole. Like it all comes like together. That's why they used to, let me give you a better example. They would serialize the scopes actually to the rifle for a reason. It's like all one set. And so many of them were split up over the years. That's my exact point of why the whole is worth way more than the sum of its parts. Because it's just that rare to find one that's still matching and together as a unit all these years. But at the same time, I'm happy to hear you got that, and I want to see what it's all about. Maybe you can email me some pictures or something like that. Okay. Yeah, you'll find different. I need to do some Mosin videos, guys. You have what's called the low wall receivers, the high wall receivers, the hexes, the rounds, and then, like I said, amongst the rounds, there's the high wall and low wall. There's the old school PEM sniper. There's the PU sniper. There's what they call so-called X snipers. There's MO double dated. There's MO triple dated. It goes on and on and on. There's the old original French ones, the Chatrelot. There's the Kazakhs, however you pronounce it, Kazakh. There's the original Dragoons. There's what they call the X-Dragoon, which is commonly a misnomer. All right, Francis, that's cool. No, obviously you don't mind. I'm not saying you should mind. I'm just saying that's what like makes them a difference between like an $800 rifle and the thousands of dollars of rifle. Probably. I don't even know what the original ones are worth now. I'd have to look it up. WGP wants a hex receiver, Mosin. See, and the hex receivers are cool. That's like a little more historical, if you will. Those are going to be pre-World War II. People say they're stronger. I don't really think in real practical terms that's true. Yeah, Kazakh. What are you saying, Warsaw? Kazakh? Well, I know it's with the C, but anyways, you guys know what I'm talking about. And please, nobody ask me if I've heard of a Mosin. And definitely don't ask me if I've heard of an M48 Mauser. I know you were, Mateo. It's Kazakh, I think. But you have to remember, you hear people say everything. Like I say Mosin, right? Just because I want to. It's actually Mosin. It's Mosin Nagant. I say Mosin Nagant, and I pronounce the T at the end. This is the American, way of pronouncing it. But it's actually Mosin Nagant. Just saying. Just like I'll say Sega when it's Saiga. So. Because I remember back with the old video game system where they had that little guy in the commercial and he'd go, Sega. You guys remember that? Remington Mosin. Here we go. Is it going to focus? Of course not. Yeah, you can read a little bit of that. Remington Mosin. I just couldn't help myself because as soon as I saw, just because I saw Remington pop up on the chat, and that's what I mean, of course I have one handy. Doesn't every YouTube streamer just happen to have a Remington Mosin within arm's reach at any given moment? I think it's just normal. And that's the crazy thing, guys. I haven't even talked about the Mosins on my channel at all. And I'm like I'm into the Mosin probably even more than AKs, if you can believe that. I just don't really talk about them for some reason because I don't know. Maybe because they're all at my house and I'm always streaming at my shop here, or maybe because it doesn't seem like as many people are interested in those. I don't know. Bastard's pissed off. Yeah, that's the same thing, Mateo. You say Canic versus Jonic. Yeah, I agree. Francis is glad he started a Mosin the God discussion. I know, you got me going. I'm talking about M9138s, and we can talk about 9159s. I have a really cool antique receiver, 9159. I love it. It's an old school Tula from 1897, I believe. It's the late 1800s, but it falls under antique. That was a pretty cool score. And then my other M9159 carbine is, trying to think of what date that is. 1940s dated. All right, WGP needs to say goodnight. We can talk about this one for a while too. Not tonight, but another night when we do Mosins. See, that's the thing with gun collecting, guys. It's not about which one's worth the most. Sometimes it's about which one you like. And I know I showed you this a few times, but this is probably my favorite one. As far as just to grab it and use it, you know. This gun's so accurate. Type 53. These are cool too. These are kind of becoming kind of a lost, kind of a forgotten weapon, if you will, in a way. You don't really see these as much. I'm not saying that they're terribly valuable. It's just you don't really see a Type 53. There was, and truth be known, these have always kind of been the black sheep, right? But not many of these have really come into the country. When they did, they were blowing them out super cheap, which made people think that, oh, these are nothing. But there was really only a couple big shipments I can remember. So I don't know. We'll have to see. These might be worth money someday. Maybe they already are. I don't know. Yeah, this Type 53 here, I'll put it up against any other country. I'll put it up against the Polish, the Romanian, the Hungarian, the Russian. It's made just as well as any of them. And there's this particular exact one right here. I've got quite a few of these Type 53s, but this exact one is just dead accurate, for me anyways. Oh, let's see here. WGPA, I think I told you good night. Yeah, the M39s, Bastard. A lot of the times those are antiques. In fact, most of them are. Man, M39s, I don't know what those are worth nowadays, but those might still be something good to get, guys. They might really, I don't know what they're worth. Unless you guys start telling me they're worth $1,000, maybe not then, but those guns are only going to go up. They're basically the epitome of the Mosin. It was the most refined, upgraded version of the Mosin. You know, I think most people would agree. And really not a lot of them have been made. I have that one really, really rare book, Rifles. What's the name of that book now? Why can I not think of the name of it? It's in Iraq. Iraq veteran has it too. He was talking about it. Rifles of the White Death. Is that what it's called? Anyways, it's an out-of-print book that just the book in and of itself now is worth hundreds of dollars. But I have a copy of that out-of-print book, and it actually lists all of the production numbers of the finished Mosins, and they're pretty rare. But yeah, these are pretty cool. These came in around the same time that those Type 56 rifles, you know, otherwise known as the SKS. See, that's the thing too that you guys have to remember. There's two Type 56s in China. There's the Type 56, meaning the SKS, and then there's the Type 56, meaning the AK. So you've got to watch yourself on that one. But yeah, the Type 56 SKS, those came in around the same time as these Type 53s. I think there were some that came out of Albania, and those were the ones that they wrapped them in barbed wire, and a lot of them had like huge gouges in the stocks, along with a lot of the SKSs. I'm familiar with that import. This was the batch that came in before those, so this would not be the ones that came in with the SKSs that I think you're talking about, Francis. And we're probably that kit that JRA was built on, and my other kit that was built by Turbo, Matt Yemens. Those both probably came out of Albania. And then, are you guys into the Albanian SKS? Because I got a few of those too, and those are another cool gun in of themselves. The Albanian made SKS. Did someone say they chopped down a Mosin to 22 inches earlier? I was skimming through here. Mateo, go figure. I'll cut you some slack, but only because it's you. Master paid $346 years ago. Yeah. The them 39s have been worth $300-400 for a little while. Yeah, it was you, Mateo. I should have known. I don't know if you're watching this, you can see me roll my eyes, but it's all right, dude. I could care less. I'm not going to do that, but okay. Went through and removed the machining and chatter marks from your chop 9130. Now I'm in the process of going through and polishing all the surfaces. That's fine. Just keep your hands off mine. But no, that's all good, man. I could care less. Yeah, they do call them the July 10th rifle. Happy birthday, right? It was a shoddy Tula. All right, good talk, guys. I've stayed on longer than I wanted to. I still have a little bit of paperwork to do, and I want to be in bed by midnight. So good talk, and hopefully I didn't bore you guys too much on this crap. Hopefully it was entertaining, but I will catch up to you guys with another gun stream here in the next couple days. So until then, have a good one, and I really appreciate you guys joining, guys. It's fun for me. So see you later.